The late summer heat in Denver doesn't break until after dark. You're standing at the kitchen window. The glass is still warm from the afternoon sun. Outside, someone's sprinkler system clicks on 3 houses down. That mechanical rhythm, the hiss of water hitting pavement that sounds like relief. Your phone is face down on the counter. You haven't checked it in an hour. That feels good. There's an old coffee mug beside the sink. You'll wash it in a minute, or tomorrow. It doesn't matter much either way. You think about the email sometimes, the one you drafted and deleted, drafted again, never sent. It's been 3 years, and you're still here. The apartment is the same one you moved into when you first came to Denver, back when it felt temporary. But somewhere along the way, without you noticing exactly when, it became home. You still have the same IKEA bookshelf, the same desk lamp that flickers when the air conditioning kicks on. You've been meaning to replace it, but then again, you know exactly where the light falls when it does that little flicker dance at sunset. You've gotten used to it. You kind of like it now. The view from your window shows the neighbor's satellite dish and the parking lot where someone's car alarm goes off every Tuesday around 9. You used to find it annoying. Now it's just part of the rhythm. Tuesday at 9, like clockwork, like proof that some things are reliable. The work is fine. It pays well enough. It's stable. You know the systems. You know the people. There's something to be said for that, for knowing where you are, for being known. Your desk faces the wall. You chose it that way. Fewer distractions. But also because when you turn around, the whole apartment opens up behind you. Your space, your small corner of the world. The light through your window in the mornings has a particular quality. Dry, clear, very Denver. It catches the dust motes and makes them visible, these tiny particles just floating in place. You read somewhere that most of them are human skin cells. You're breathing in your own shed history. There's something comforting about that, evidence of living. Sometimes you walk to the corner store on Colfax after dinner. The guy behind the counter knows your order now. Sparkling water and whatever fruit looks best. Last week it was plums. This week, peaches. He nodded when you walked in tonight, a small recognition. These accumulations of being known. 3 years ago, you were sitting in this same apartment when the message came through. It wasn't dramatic, no phone call, just an email. Professional, polite. An offer to join a team in Seattle. A role that would have meant something different. Not necessarily better, just different. A lateral move that felt vertical somehow, the way certain possibilities do when they arrive at a time when you're paying attention. You remember the subject line, Opportunity, Denver to Seattle. You read it 7 times that first night. Then you drafted a response. Thank you for thinking of me. I'm very interested. Deleted it. Tried again. This sounds like an incredible opportunity. Deleted it. The cursor blinked at you for 20 minutes before you closed your laptop and made tea instead. The thing is, you had reasons. Real ones. Your mom was going through something then. Not sick, but struggling in that way where your presence mattered even when you weren't doing anything specific. Just being reachable. Just being there. You were in a relationship that was in a delicate place. Not bad, just in that phase where any big decision would tip the balance one way or another, and you weren't ready to know which way yet. The apartment lease had just renewed. You'd finally found a dentist you liked. You'd started recognizing people at the coffee shop. These small roots that don't sound like much when you list them out loud, but somehow constitute the texture of a life. You asked for a week to think about it. They said take 2. You spent those 2 weeks moving through your days differently. Everything felt both more vivid and more fragile. The coffee shop where you worked sometimes, the climbing gym you joined and actually were starting to use, the Sunday phone calls with your sister. All of it suddenly precious in a way you hadn't noticed before. You made a list, pros and cons. It filled 2 pages of a notebook you still have in your desk drawer. You look at it sometimes, not with regret, more like looking at an old map of somewhere you decided not to go. In the end, you sent a different email. After careful consideration, I've decided to stay in Denver. I'm grateful for the opportunity and hope we can stay in touch. They responded within an hour. Completely understand. Best of luck with everything. And that was it. The relationship ended 4 months later, but it ended the way it needed to, with clarity instead of distance. Your mom stabilized. She moved to Arizona eventually, but by then you'd been there for the part that mattered. The lease came up for renewal and you signed it again, and this time it felt less like inertia and more like choosing. You don't think about it every day, but sometimes you do. And that's okay. Tonight, you're sitting on the floor of your living room because the couch feels too formal and you like the coolness of the hardwood against your back. The blue light from your phone screen is actually kind of pretty if you let it be, like underwater. You opened LinkedIn without meaning to, just scrolling, and there it was, a post from someone on that Seattle team, a photo of them at a company retreat, ocean in the background, that specific Pacific Northwest gray-green water you've only seen in pictures. You recognize 2 faces from the video call you had during the interview process. They look good, happy, or at least the kind of content that shows up in company photos. You hope they're doing well. You genuinely do. You wonder if they ever mention you. We almost hired someone from Denver. Probably not. You're probably just a moment in their story that didn't happen, the same way they are in yours. The radiator in your apartment makes a sound like someone sighing. It does this even in summer. Some quirk in the pipes. You've gotten so used to it that you'd probably miss it in a different place. These small mechanical companions. If you'd sent that first email, if you'd said yes, you would have given notice. 2 weeks that would have felt like months. Packing up this apartment that had started to know you. Loading boxes into a car that would point northwest. The drive to Seattle would have been 4 days, maybe 5. You would have stopped in Boise, slept in a motel with thin walls and free coffee. You would have felt, for those 4 days, like someone in between chapters. Like someone stepping through a doorway. Seattle would have been rain, the kind that's more like a presence than weather, a companion. You would have bought a better raincoat, learned to layer, figured out the bus routes that snake through hills you don't have here. Your apartment there, you've imagined it. Smaller than this Denver one, probably. More expensive. But with a window that faces a brick wall covered in ivy, and if you lean far enough, a slice of water in the distance. You looked up what it's called once. Elliott Bay. A beautiful name for a beautiful thing. The job would have been harder. You would have been new. There would have been learning curves and late nights and moments of wondering if you'd made the right choice. The first 3 months would have tested you. But there would have been coffee shops that stayed open late. Bookstores with creaking floors. You would have learned the neighborhoods, found your place. These things happen when you let them. You imagine that version of you sometimes, that other life. He wakes up earlier because the commute is different. He's learned to like dark roast. He has a raincoat that works. He knows the barista at the place on Capitol Hill. He has a climbing partner he met through work. They go on Thursdays. He's tired sometimes. The work asks more of him. But it's a different kind of tired. The kind that comes from being seen, from contributing something visible. He doesn't think about Denver often. When he does, it's with a kind of gentle curiosity. That version of his life. That road not taken. But it doesn't ache. It's just there. One of many possible paths in a life full of them. On Friday nights, he might meet colleagues at a bar with no sign. Someone orders around. He laughs at something someone said. It's good. It's a good life. Different, but good. The apartment is starting to feel like his. He bought a plant. It's still alive. He hung curtains. Small gestures of permanence. That version of you is doing fine. He's building something. But here's the thing you've learned. So are you. You set your phone down. The apartment is quiet except for the radiator and someone's television through the wall. A game show. The sound of someone else's evening unwinding. You stand up. Your knees make a small sound. 37. Old enough to hear your body in the small moments. Young enough that it's just information, not yet worry. There's a glass of water on the kitchen counter. You drink it. The pipes make their familiar knocking sound. You've been meaning to mention it to the landlord, but honestly, you'd miss it if it stopped. These small sounds that mean home. You could leave Denver. That's true. That's always been true. You could pack up this place, give notice, find something new, start over in Seattle or Portland, or anywhere with possibility written into its geography. But you've built something here. Not anything you could point to in photos, not anything that would make sense on paper. Just a life. Your life. The barista who knows your order, the dentist you like, the climbing gym where you're finally getting better at overhangs, the Sunday calls with your sister where you know what she's going to say and she knows what you're going to say, and there's peace in that. The alternate life, the Seattle life, it exists somewhere in the architecture of possibility. You can feel it. Parallel. But not calling to you anymore. Just there. Just another version of happiness that would have had its own trade-offs, its own small disappointments mixed in with its own small joys. You don't wonder if that other version of you thinks about this life. That's not how it works. He's living his life. You're living yours. Both real, both chosen, both full of the ordinary days that make up a life. The kitchen window is open now. The air smells like cut grass and the promise of cooler nights coming. Someone's wind chime 3 houses down. You can hear it when you listen. That thin sound like light made audible. You'll go to bed soon. Tomorrow there will be work, emails, the same desk, the same flicker of the lamp at sunset, the same view of the satellite dish. And then afterward, maybe you'll walk to the corner store. Maybe you'll get peaches again. Maybe you'll try the nectarines. Small choices, small pleasures. The accumulation of days that become a year, that becomes 3 years, that become a life. You're still standing at the window. The glass has cooled now. You can feel the temperature difference between inside and outside. Soon it'll be fall, then winter, then spring again. The seasons you've learned to know in this particular latitude, this particular light. You rest your hand on the glass one more time, and then you turn back toward your home.